I think to at least some extent we can all agree that the world is going crazy, but it typically tends to do that. So today, to lighten the mood, I'm going to have every single country beat the crap out of each other to see who would win. Now that I say that out loud, this is probably going to make everything a lot worse. But as the title suggests, I'm going to be trying to simulate a modern and accurate, semi-accurate, okay, probably not accurate at all, World War III. This map I've selected here has pretty much all of the countries that are going to be able to, fit. So I apologize to all of my 5 fans from Luxembourg here, but unfortunately, you're just not big enough. We can't put you in as a kingdom. So you have been taken over by Germany, which that's also reminding me of another world war. But anyway, let me just show you the alliances. And the first one is the United Allies of the World. They are led by the United States of America, and they consist of many NATO countries. And then as the other alliance, we have the Eastern Powers, led by Russia. This alliance has powerful kingdoms like China, the Middle East, and all people like that. But once again, I feel like I need to say this, I really don't know a lot about geopolitics, so I'm really sorry if these alliances are not perfect, because I don't know all about them. Oh yeah, and you might have noticed that Italy's on their own. In the past 2 world wars, they've just switched sides so often that neither of these alliances even wanted them. They're just gonna sit this one out. But right before the event that makes this entire war break off, I do want to mention something that should spice up this video. I have a very special mod installed for this video, the Modernbox mod. And this mod's been showcased a bunch on YouTube, but if you're new to it, basically, these kingdoms over the course of this very long war will get super advanced. They'll be able to make their own tanks and super weapons, and eventually get to the point where they can even nuke one another. But as it stands right now, most countries only have like horse and chariot and stuff like that. So what's even going to start this war off in the first place? How are these 2 giant superpowers finally going to break the ice? Well, they actually literally do break the ice. The US has a cool ice patch they like, and then Russia bombed it. And that was the final straw. The war has begun. The Eastern Powers start off with 1,622 soldiers in their possession, and the United Allies of the World have a slight advantage of having 1,759. World War III had begun. Just look at all of the different countries involved. This is going to be an exciting one. As we see so many clashes beginning, both alliances are taking heavy losses. We can see the numbers of every army and where they are. South Africa is about to be the first one to fall. We can actually see primitive inventions here like these catapults and log rollers. I don't know, I'm not really sure what they're doing, but they're definitely helping the Eastern Powers out here. The Eastern Powers may struggle here because they have a very weak hold on the Americas, only having a frontier in South America, and they have no control over certain islands like Indonesia, Australia, and New Zealand, but who really even cares about New Zealand? Ironically, most of the fighting here is going to be going on in the Middle East and Africa and such, where that kind of already seems where it's going on in the real world too. Both kingdoms have already lost over 1,000 people in total. Oh yeah, and by the way, I forgot to mention there's actually a kingdom down here in Antarctica, but obviously they're unaligned. They're actually led by me, and I think when the war's over and the whole world turns into a crater, we'll take advantage of that. The US is actually beginning to ramp up pretty rapidly. Are these tanks I see? Yeah, these are big boy tanks. They are fast and they do a lot of damage. The US alone has nearly 400 troops, and they haven't even used them yet, which might be a mistake as Europe and Africa are starting to crumble, honestly. The United Allies had about 100 or 200 person advantage when the war began, but now that gap has literally shrunk to 0. However, they still have 1.1 thousand troops, while the Eastern Powers have shrunk to 650. That's how offensive wars tend to go. You lose more people, but you gain more ground, which is exactly what we're seeing right here. The only question is how long can the Eastern Powers keep it up for? Actually, looking into Russia now, we can see that they have tanks of their own a few years old, and yeah, they've done a lot of damage too. And you can actually see them in action here, way more advanced than the troops in Scandinavia, as they are just launching bombs at Scandinavia, not even being touched at all, and they have over 1,000 health, while the US, who was very strong, has just really refused to do anything. Let's check how much damage has already happened. Over 3.4 thousand people have already died. And if you want to scale this WorldBox number up to a more realistic number, this is probably a real-life equivalent to about 3.4 billion people that have perished in just 4 years. Like I was showing the members earlier, these are the countries that have already been destroyed. Countries like South Africa, Yemen, Algeria are gone, and countries like Egypt and southeastern European country are also destroyed as well. And Somalia, they left? What? They just left? What do you mean they left? And they joined the other team? Wait, what? So Somalia literally pulled Italy. They left the American alliance and joined the Russian one. That's insane. Europe is about to collapse as a whole, but if you actually look down here in London, they actually have some pretty powerful technology that they're using to bump up their army. As you can see, they're actually launching missile strikes onto Russia, trying to actually destroy their more powerful vehicles. But it really doesn't seem like it's working, as the Eastern powers have nearly claimed all of Africa and just have a few spots left in Europe. And Russian tanks are pushing swiftly into Scandinavia, with just 7 people left in the country as a whole. Of course, me and the penguins down here are just watching all the chaos erupt and having a good time. But we can finally start seeing some smaller countries get more powerful, as Brazil here has invested in whatever the heck these things are, but they seem pretty powerful. The US has extremely expanded its army. I'm assuming it just put all its budget there, like it likes to do in real life. I can't even see what half this crap is. I think they have the missile launchers. Yeah, you can see missiles actually flying over and occasionally hitting Russian hotspots. This is actually so cool. This mod is awesome. Almost 10 years into the war now, and the countries have both lost around 2,000 people each. And I think mainly due to the UK's tanks, Europe as a whole has not fallen yet. And of course Italy's doing just fine because, you know, they don't do anything at all. You know what I just realized? I think I know why the US hasn't gotten involved in Europe yet. They have no boats. As a matter of fact, no one has any boats. I only see 2 boats on the map. One over here in Australia who's just blowing up innocent fishermen, and one up here near Russia, neither of which are even that old. So I think the issue at hand here is just they can't transport over, and I'm assuming if they try to do, they just get nuked to oblivion. Well, as I let time advance, it looks like most kingdoms have at least tanks now, which means, like I said at the beginning, this war is just going to keep scaling and scaling up as the video progresses. And as we can see right now, an Australian boat is about to land an invasion somewhere, maybe near Madagascar. Will it even make it to the point before it gets bombarded? Oh my god, they absolutely just destroy Madagascar. What the hell is going on? They just landed and now they're going ham. All the tanks that Australia has got into one boat and are now literally unleashing hell on Africa. Not to mention Madagascar too, as the entire country is almost dead. These tanks are going to be here forever. I hope everyone realizes that, as I believe they have just single-handedly killed like maybe 200 people from that alone. We just call it a massacre. Of course, Africa has some tanks too, but Australia has a lot more, and some catapults as well, just to say screw you. There's so much destruction. I just saw a person fly by my screen. But we'll come back to this in a few minutes. But Australia doing a naval invasion is actually good news, because it means that these countries can grow navies. Just for some reason, only Australia has done it so far. Oh, and yeah, and by the way, Madagascar is actually down to just 1 person now. And apparently they're part of the USA. There's still no clear sign of a winner, so I just want to see what the interesting people tab looks like. What's the most known? It's this thing. I can't actually tell you what this is. It looks kind of suspicious actually, and it has 121 kills. It has the most kills, and it's also the richest. I'm not sure how that really works. The fastest are these 3 chariots with 91 speed. You would think like a tank or something would be faster, but I guess not. The strongest with 200 damage is this thing. I can't even see. What is this? I think it's glitched. I'm not quite sure what I'm looking at here. I don't think I'm looking at anything. And the most health is a Russian tank. Well, so far in the past couple of years, the only thing that the Americans have managed to do is take over Madagascar. And for some reason, What just happened? Wherever this South America just got eviscerated. Wait, what happened? They dropped a nuke. South America's gone. Oh my god, it's gone. What? And it leaves like a perfect shape behind. Okay, that's actually pretty awesome. My question is, why did it just get rid of all of the land? The couple of items that survived are now just swimming to wherever they can. Okay, well, I apologize to all my South American viewers, as you guys are gone. You all died. Womp womp. Unless you live in Chile or Argentina. But since there's just so little boats, I really kind of want to speed up this war now. So although it may seem kind of lame, I am going to make a pathway from the Americas straight into Europe. And I'm going to also make little paths connecting some of these island countries too, just so we see some interesting war break out. But with that, now we wait, and oh no, the battles for Southeast Asia have begun. Troops begin flying in from different countries all over the world. You know, soldiers used to be powerful, but like, yeah, one of these things right here is probably more than enough to take out the entire army. And oh no, the American military is moving into action. They're actually moving into a boat. Okay, so of course when I give them the one opportunity to cross manually, they choose to use a boat now. But look how many troops are getting in. And they landed Africa. Oh my god. This is the power of the American military, and they are going ham. The Eastern powers have lost hundreds. They're not defending this, unfortunately. And the rest of the American army is heading into Europe now. Oh, it's an absolute massacre. They're leaving no survivors behind. I didn't even notice this, but you can see from like the red explosion marks, like right there, the just live bombing of the Eastern powers, and they have now lost hundreds more. And the US still isn't done yet. As you've seen, they still have hundreds of foot soldiers just waiting. Africa doesn't stand a chance, and you can see all of the missiles being rained down. I forgot how cool this mod is. I didn't even mention, but look right here. They have Godzilla and stuff here, and I don't think we should place down Godzilla because that's not very realistic, at least in my opinion. But maybe one day. I don't think I realized this, but this is essentially just like Holy 4, pretty much at this point. I mean, we got the modern mod installed. Just couple this with like the ruler box or king box mod, and you're fine. You know, I said about Russia, but the US is getting hit pretty hard with just random bombs too. From the help of Canada, Mexico, and the US, they have begun pushing back into Europe, and they're pushing into mainland Russia here. Look at all the destruction right here. This is where all of the Russian tanks are, and unfortunately, Canadian foot soldiers are just getting absolutely destroyed here. Canada just doesn't have as strong of a military presence, but you know who does is the United States Army. What a battle going on here. This battle could decide the war. Even though the Russian powers have way less people, if they can destroy the Americans' technology here, they're pretty much gonna win. But I can't really tell who's gonna win here. Reinforcements of the Americans are pulling in, and as I speed up time, this just looks more like a light show than anything. It looks like Russian tanks are getting destroyed and the Americans are gonna come out on top here. The Eastern powers now have nearly half the population that the US does, and this is just gonna be bad. Oh wait, what the what? It's gone. They got rid of Africa. All that's left is its hollow shell. That's interesting. Okay, I guess they don't have to worry about reclaiming that now. There's still a large US presence here in Africa that probably hit a few of them. Looks like a lot of those missile guys are over here in America, and they're just, you know, raining hell on all of the houses over here on the Eastern powers. Oh, this world started off so beautiful, and now there's just destruction. This is like a realistic war. This is what would happen. I mean, you know, minus the complete obliteration of 2 of our continents. I don't think that would happen. You know, despite how good they've been, the US military is actually down to just a fraction of what it was. But I think they've done enough damage to the point where it doesn't really matter. As a matter of fact, if I'm looking here, Russia has actually collapsed to the US. You know, it's been a while. Let's check the war stats again. Oh my god. In just 40 years, 6.9 thousand people have died. Which, like I said earlier, if we're doing the conversion, that's the equivalent of nearly 7 billion people in a realistic war. That's like most of our population. The armies of all countries have been whittled down to nothing. Let's just take a second to remember all of our fallen countries. Except for Somalia, you know, they deserve to be destroyed. Wait, how are they still alive? Wait, huh? Where are they? Oh, you gotta be kidding me. They were barely out of the blast radius. That's so stupid. Hopefully we destroy them. But as American, Canadian, even English and Irish troops, push in. The Eastern powers are beginning to crumble. But who knows, a well-timed nuke or something could really pull him off. The Eastern powers are down to just a couple hundred people. Russia actually is still alive, but their western half has fallen. Actually, now they've just been destroyed. Moscow as a whole is gone. God, this war is just brutal. This has definitely been the most insane WorldBox war I've ever seen. This is only ×4 speed. You can just see all the missiles flying across and stuff. Well, let's just speed up in time lapse right until the Eastern powers are about to fall, because let's be real, it's pretty much over. Okay, whoa, stop this, stop the count. They done eviscerated Southeast Asia. It's gone. The Eastern powers, in their last breath, literally right before they're destroyed, decided, we're like, we got one more nuke, let's blow up Australia. I'm not gonna lie, I'm proud of them. I would have done the exact same thing. It's not gonna matter in the end. It's the United Allies of the world still have way more people, and the Eastern powers are about to fall. Holy crap, look at all of the destruction. Everything is destroyed or abandoned. This is actually horrific to look at. This world started so vibrantly. The alliance of the Eastern powers has now actually been dissolved, leaving just Russia. And since the war is pretty much over, let's just check the final war stats right here. Every country except for Russia is destroyed on the Eastern powers. Now that Somalia is gone, it's just a chicken, but they're also on fire. 7.6 billion people died, and barely over a billion still remain. The eastern side lost nearly 4 billion people. The Allies only lost around 3.7 billion. This has probably been the most bloody war that I've ever seen in WorldBox, but let's have it end right here. Now, since Russia's the only country left, literally every spot of land they have is getting absolutely destroyed by all of the missiles. But slowly, Russia gets taken, Siberia's about to fall, and that's it. World War III has ended. Let's just compare the world before the war, shown right here, to what it looks like now. Yeah, that's bad. I think the moral of the story here is just, if we still want South America and Africa and Australia to still exist in a couple hundred years, let's just not go to war, okay? But I'm gonna end this video with a bang, literally. Since I haven't actually showcased this mod before, I just want to see what the biggest bomb does as we end it. This is called the Tuxian bomb. Never seen it before, but its description tells me that it really is unnecessary. And if there's one thing that I love, it's unnecessary. So let's just drop one of these things. Let's drop it right on Italy, because they haven't done anything this whole video. That was a big explosion, and that's a big shockwave. That's a really big shockwave. There goes the United Allies of the world, and everything else. There goes the entire world as well. The only thing left is New Zealand, and that tip of South America, and of course, all of Antarctica. So the real winners, me and the penguins. Good for us. So since I'm the only one still alive, you legally have to like and subscribe. But anyway, that will be where this video ends, but I'll see you guys in the next one. Farewell.